Next up, I'm going to be introducing Rahul Varma. Rahul is the head of the global talent organization at Accenture. And as such, he's responsible for the recruiting, the onboarding, the learning, the career development, the performance management of 380,000 people at Accenture. And he joined us last year. And his presentation last year was one that was probably the most talked about, one of the ones that was most talked about at our summit last year. He's going to be talking to us today, and I suspect that his talk, knowing him well enough, is that it's going to result in the same type of buzz and conversation. So Rahul, welcome, and please join.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's just very hard to actually deal with expectations that far exceed one's capabilities. And so one of the things I tend to do when I'm placed in this situation is that never be in this situation alone. So as part of a deal that Carl and I struck a few months ago in my office, you remember that deal, Carl? Yes. As part of that deal, I'm going to be inviting Carl up in a while for something he has no idea about. Truth be told, I have no idea about it either. But we're going to do this together, and we're going to have fun. I love the look on his face right now. Thank you so much for having me back here. It's a pleasure to be here in the Bay Area. It's an immense honor to be amongst talent and learning leaders and people that have a shared passion for where humanity is heading, where the role that we play in being able to enable our people to do things in the face of all the challenges that we're seeing come down the road with AI and automation and all those things, and what that really means for our people. And one of the things that I've learned as a learning leader is that it's great to have these 20-minute TED Talks and have somebody come and share amazing things with you. But that really doesn't push ourselves far enough for the real learning to occur. And real learning occurs when we actually experience it, when we experience it in this mind, body, heart, soul that we actually all comprise. So that was my advance warning. That towards the end of my talk, I'm going to invite you to join me for a little experience. Is that okay with you? Yes. All right. Sounds great. So thanks again for having me. I'm going to start with a personal story. I don't talk a lot about this story, but as I was thinking about the gathering over here, I thought this may be a time to actually do it. And many years ago, when I was a young and upcoming leader, which was many years ago. I used to be in India. I was the head of HR for Accenture in India. And I was given a very significant responsibility. It was a responsibility of helping Accenture have tremendous explosive growth in the country. It was a growth that saw us go from 200 people as a niche management consulting organization to a diversified set of businesses of over 40,000 period in a 7-year time span, which eventually became one of the largest, if not the largest, organic growth story in the world. And I was this HR guy that was kind of in the center of it all. And the 7-year period that I was in that role were probably the craziest, the most exhilarating, and the hardest that I've faced in my entire adult life. As you can imagine, I would wake up every single morning just really excited about all the possibilities that lay ahead, and at the same time completely panic-stricken about how it is that we're going to do what we've been tasked to do. Literally, those were the conflicting emotions every single day. And somehow, my team and I and my peers and colleagues, we went through a 7-year period of hardly sleeping and doing really nothing else other than focusing ourselves on the task at hand. And it was 10 years ago, in 2007, that I actually was visiting the Delhi office for a meeting with a colleague of mine. And I sat down in that meeting, and a very old friend of mine decided to give me a visit. The name of that old friend is bronchial asthma. It was a condition that I was born with. And it had kind of gone in the back recesses of my mind, but it decided to pay me a visit. And in the middle of that meeting, I had a severe asthma attack. And the last thing I remember doing was walking out of that meeting to the reception and collapsing. My colleagues rushed me to the closest hospital, which was a government hospital in Delhi. And they determined that I needed to be taken to the intensive care unit. And as I was being wheeled into the intensive care unit, I had a cardiac arrest. And I was gone for 2 minutes. I was told later that the max I could have lasted was 3. And eventually I came out of that and battered and bruised and confused as to why I was still around and what was I doing here and what was this meant to be. And the next 10 years since then, that experience has shaped much of how I see the world and experience the world and see my place in the world. So this is a real story. It's an extreme story. But I suspect that this is not a unique story. I suspect that when you look around, your friends, your colleagues, your family, you've seen some version of this story play out. How many of you know of people that have had stress-induced illnesses? Heart attacks, panic attacks, ulcers, maybe even death. How many of you have experienced extreme stress at some point? Most of us. How many of us walk in every single day in the morning into our office with this facade that everything is put together? This facade that masks the reality of the lives that we live. How many of us do that? So my story is really not a unique story. And this Future of Learning Summit is a really interesting one where we start to look in the future and we start to look at technology and artificial intelligence and all of that and say, well, what's that going to do to us? But technology and artificial intelligence and artificial reality and virtual reality and machine learning really don't matter. Technology does not have imagination. Technology can't lead and inspire. It doesn't have ethics or morals or sympathy or empathy. Robots really don't care about people, do they? The digital age is going to be defined by truly human people taking care of each other. Because our current reality is that we see more of our screens than we see of the sky or the insides of our eyelids. We recharge our devices, but rarely ourselves. We work on vacations, or don't take time off at all. We are connected with work all the time, thanks to these brilliant devices. We are disconnected from our own families, from our own friends, and from ourselves. That's our reality. That's how we live our lives. So the digital era is about truly human people taking care of each other. It's not about devices and it's not about technology. So knowing this, the company that I represent, Accenture, now employs more than 400,000 people, 411,000 people as of today. And our only value proposition to the world is the skills, the capabilities, and the passion of our people. That's all we have to offer. We don't make a product. We are not a manufacturing company. All that we have is people. And so we have decided to be the most truly human organization in the digital age and to put our people in the center of everything that we do. Because like I said, it's not going to be technology taking care of us. It's going to be truly human people taking care of each other. That is our future. That is what's going to lift humanity. So what are we doing about it in Accenture, in the company that I represent? I'm going to give you a couple examples of things that we are focused on. One of the realizations we've had that to be truly human, you have to first take out the inhuman. You can't really be truly human if you still have inhuman inside. And a couple of years we came to the realization that one of the most inhuman things we experience within the corporate world is how we do performance management. It demotivates more people than it motivates. It's scientifically flawed. It creates internal strife and competition. It creates stress. It creates tension. It creates a threat response. And interestingly, it has really nothing to do with performance or lifting the performance of people. It has nothing to do with that. And when we came to that realization, we decided to blow it all up. And we decided to focus on the fundamental question of what creates great individual and team performance. And with that realization and the research that we did, we learned that great performance happens when people do what they love and are great at every single day. When they focus on the vital few priorities, not their KPIs, not their metrics, not their job descriptions, just those 3 to 5 things that if focused on will create a disproportionate impact. Great performance doesn't happen as with individuals as islands. Great performance happens in engaged teams, where teams are focused on a common mission, where they have an aligned objective, where they support each other and have a high trust equations. Those are highly engaged teams, and those are high performing teams. Great performance doesn't happen when feedback is an event, as a mid-year event or as an annual event. Great performance happens when feedback is in the moment, so everybody can do something about what they learn. And great performance does not happen when we stack people, rank people, rate people, and force them into a bell curve and force people out. That's not what creates great performance. But what creates great performance is hyper-personalized actions to grow that make sense to every single person, that can stretch them, that can grow them, that can challenge them, that can channel the unique attributes and characteristics and abilities that they have. That's what creates great performance. So we have done away with performance management globally. We now call it performance achievement. Don't focus on managing it, just focus on achieving it. It is the biggest cultural revolution that has taken place in the history of our company, and it has entirely changed the way our people experience their work lives. There's another thing that we focused on. One of the things we've learned is that learning agility is a critical skill for the future. The curiosity, the ability to be able to constantly upskill oneself, the ability to be able to see across various different disciplines and apply that to what we do is going to make the difference between surviving and thriving in the digital era. So knowing this, we made some big investments in learning. Over the last 4 to 5 years, we made a promise to all of our people that every single person in Accenture will have the opportunity to have time away to learn and be learning all the time. We created perhaps the world's most digital connected infrastructure that exists anywhere. We invented something called a connected classroom. And then we scaled it, and we have 90 of them today. We invented digital learning boards that have enabled our people. 120,000 people pivoted from legacy IT to new IT skills in a matter of 15 months. Unprecedented. Last month we saw 22 million completions of these learning assets. We studied different disciplines. We studied the biggest advances in neurosciences and digital technologies. But then we actually went in and examined ancient Indian wisdom, going to Japan to understand Zen minimalism, looking at ancient Vedic texts and learning from those texts, And looking at all of that, we created one of the world's most unique learning centers in the world. We inaugurated that this April in Bangalore. You see some pictures of that over here. And the most beautiful one of that is that left corner at the bottom, which is this Japanese learner lighting the lamp to let us create better learners all around. And to me, that's just symbolic of how we will learn and grow in the future. Because we did that, earlier this year we had a challenge in our business, and one of our clients terminated a contract, which in normal circumstances would have meant that scores of people would have lost their jobs as transaction processors. But because we had done all of this, we were able to go back and we talked to our people and we said, if you are willing to take a leap of faith, if you are willing to push yourselves hard, if you are willing to invent yourselves, we will help you. And 12 long weeks of intensive training later, a number of those people re-emerged from transaction processors to entry-level technologists. Just started a brand new career as new IT technologists. Unthinkable, unthinkable before. They didn't imagine they would do it. We didn't imagine we would do it. But we created that. Truly human people taking care of each other. That's the digital age. So I just have some very simple messages. One of the things that I said to you was that we can have these TED Talks and you can listen to some great thoughts. But for true learning to occur, we have to experience it. So my question to you is, are you ready to be truly human? This moment, right now, are you ready to be truly human? Are you?
We are.
Are you, Carl? Come join me on stage. This friend of mine, Carl, is an entrepreneur, puts all his time and energy in creating this company and the people and infecting all of us with this enthusiasm of learning. So, Carl, I'm just going to invite you for a short experience. And what we're going to do is have a seat. It's nothing to be worried about. What I'm really going to do is I'm going to ask you to join me, if you're willing, to invest 3 minutes of your life in yourselves. And the basic concept behind what we're going to do is this. Every single day, what walks into the office is not just this brain. That brain walks in. Actually, Carl, if you wouldn't mind sitting here, because we have this, so you and I can be visible. What really walks in is this brain mounted on a body that has a heart and has a soul that has a purpose. That's what walks in. And we really can't be truly human and preach truly human if we are not that ourselves. So we'll go through a 2-minute exercise collectively to be truly human. All right, so if you're willing to give this a go, just sit up on your chair. Have a straight spine. Just a straight spine. Close your eyes. And join me in taking a few deep breaths. And God, you won't need that mic, so. Just sit straight. The spine really matters. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through the mouth. And we take 5 deep breaths. Breath, the essence of life. And because we are in an environment of learning, one of the things we will do is just expand our mental capacity to learn through the day that's going to follow. And one of the things that happens as you keep taking these deep breaths is that much of our mental activity takes place from the front of the mind, the prefrontal cortex, but as the day progresses, it keeps getting fuller and fuller and fuller, and then the blood flow goes to the back of the brain towards the amygdala and other parts which are more reactive, and that's why we find ourselves getting tired and reacting. And so there's a simple thing we can do to just bring the blood flow back in and be in a position to learn. So as you keep deep breathing, just bring the tips of your fingertips together with a straight spine. And with the in-breath, bring your thumbs to your forehead, right at the center. And with the out-breath, just spread your thumbs across to the side of your temple, bringing the other 4 fingers in to your forehead. And now with the next out-breath, just keep spreading your temple, opening up the front part of the brain. And now you can go up to the crown and do a crown pull. In the center of the head and the back of the head, all the way there. And with this simple exercise of engaging your breath and opening up your mind, you've brought a balance to the blood flow right here. It took a minute, 1 minute of our lives. The other thing that we do as talent and learning leaders is we communicate, right? We give presentations, we communicate, we influence, we listen. Have you been with people that when you get with them, they just completely, entirely suck the energy? Anybody been with them? Anybody enjoyed meeting them? And then there are people that just fill you up with energy and fill you up with their zest for life and their passion and make life worth living, that you want to be around, that you want to learn from, that you want to work with, that you want to hang out with. Anybody come across those people? Anybody wants to be that person right now? All right, so we'll do a simple exercise. Just sit out in front and cross your right leg over your left knee. Put your left hand on your ankle and take your right hand all the way across your shoe. Keep your spine straight. And we'll take 3 deep breaths. And now we can just turn over and switch. The left knee over your right, the left leg over your right knee. Right hand on your ankle. Left hand goes across. Straight spine. Another 3 deep breaths. And as you're doing this, this is just realigning the energy in your body. And you're going to feel more grounded, you're going to feel more alive, you're going to be able to communicate better with the right intention and the right attention. And that's all you need to do. And now that you know it, before your next presentation, when you're meeting a client, you're going in for a sale, you're meeting a distressed employee, you're having a hard chat with a leader, just do these simple exercises. And there are a lot more, but just these simple exercises. And that's just a little taste of what we can do to ourselves to be truly human. So that's all I had to share with you in the time that I had. One of the dictums that I live my life with is that I have experienced what it is like to not have breath in my body. I told you about one such experience. I've actually had more before that. That was just a dramatic one. And what I have decided to dedicate my life to is, given that I've had this gift, that I make use of every single breath in my body such that I can enable people to be the best that they can be. So nothing of what I have told you is not what I personally practice, what I personally do. Many of you may be doing different things around that. And it's possible to bring that to the workplace. It's possible for us to be truly human with each other. And I think it is essential that we do that in the digital era. Truly human people taking care of each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rahul. I just want to narrate, take a half a minute to tell a real story. So just about 3 months back or something, I was in New York visiting his office for actual business meeting about EdCast's and how it is going with Accenture. And within the first, and we had only 30 minutes of time given how busy Rahul is, and within the first 2 or 3 minutes, he actually all of a sudden asked me this question. He was intently looking at my face and he said, "Carl, are you sleeping well?" And I was shocked because in my 25 years of working life and 47 years of living, I've never come across in a business meeting where somebody just switched the topic and somebody asked me such a personal question in front of everyone and saying, "Are you sleeping well?" And I said, "No, to be honest." And he said, "I want you to first take care of yourself before we talk about business." And he literally stopped the business meeting and he actually started drawing a plan for me on the whiteboard, and I have a picture on my phone. I took the picture, and whoever is interested, I would be happy to email it to you. I carry it. We spent 20 minutes, the next 20 minutes, where he became almost like a life coach. Gave me a plan, what I have to do to sleep well, to meditate well, to take care of myself well. He told me actually this story about how he went almost a near-death experience. So what he said about being truly human, he actually practices it. And that was the most unique event or the most unique meeting that I've ever had in my life, which was truly human.